Hello, hello. It's Chris Westfall here today with you, and I'm sharing with you today a new situation going on with Medicare. The reason why I bring these things to you in a timely fashion is because if it's not affecting you now, it may affect you and your retirement in the near-term future. It used to be growing up that we would be offered a defined benefit plan, meaning that we work for 20 years or 25 years with a particular company. We either get a gold watch and a retirement plan that would pay us into retirement and take care of our health care. Well, in the last decade, those things have tended to go away, even with the best of promises. Started with General Electric, AT&T, UPS, IBM. We've covered them all through the years, and now it's happening with another organization. Only this time, it's not that they're saying that they're taking away the health care. It's the little thing. It's the nuance. It's what they're doing with that health care to change it that really concerns not just me, but up to 2 million people affected. And again, if this is not just affecting you, that's fine. But you need to know it if you're on Medicare or if you know someone who may be affected by this. But if it's not happening to you yet, and you're working through a retirement program to get your health benefits now, and you have the freedom and the flexibility to go anywhere you want to, that just may be a thing of the past here real soon. And that's why I want to bring it to you today. So we're talking about this new situation that's going on. This is for all the retirees from the city of New York. Now, you might not think that's a very big number of people, but it is a very huge number of people. In fact, this is affecting up to 2 million people right now. Just before we get started, my name is Christopher Westfall, and I'm with the Senior Savings Network. We help seniors from coast to coast with their retirement and their Medicare benefits specifically. We can be reached at seniorsavingsnetwork.org online, and you can see our past videos under a tab there, or you can call us at our 800 number. You can call it 24 hours a day, and we're licensed from coast to coast. If you have questions about your Medicare, your secondary insurance, what your best options are, is it Medicare Supplement? Is it TRICARE for life, if that's what you've got access to? Is it Medicare Advantage or nothing at all? And that's what we want to go through. So a quick background on this. This has been developing over the last few years with a lot of corporations, the biggest names out there, where they had promised to retirees everything's going to be fine. Matter of fact, when I covered this about 5 years ago with AT&T, when it happened to them, we played a news clip way back from General Electric where they promised, if you come work for us, we're going to take care of you deep into retirement. All your health care will be taken care of. It's one of the benefits of having given your life in dedication. And that's one thing about our baby boomers and beyond. They really dedicated their lives and their livelihood to usually one organization. And for that commitment, they then expected to receive a lifetime of being taken care of. That was the deal. That's what they went for. We're talking today about these plans pushing the seniors, even though they promised to take care of them into retirement, pushing them into a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare Advantage plan derivative. Why is that? Well, they're doing it because savings. It's all about the money. And you're going to see that here today. And I think that it's going to be, I'm just going to put the facts out there and you decide what you will about it and tell me what you think at the end. As a matter of fact, if you want to comment as we're going through, I can bring the comments in and address them and talk about it and share with other people what you're thinking. If you'll put your comments on the live stream right now, just underneath there in the live chat so we can put them in. It will show your name as your name appears on YouTube, but if you'll put it right there in the comment section, I can see that as we're going through. So I want to tell you the details about what's going through, and I will let you experience it. We're going to sneak inside a Zoom call with it was an emergency meeting called about this proposal, and you're going to be shocked at how it's affecting these seniors who have been working their whole lives with this particular program. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us if you'll hit that thumbs up button like Fonzie's doing. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and it keeps you informed when things change with Medicare. If you'll click that notification bell, you'll be alerted ahead of time when things like this come up, when things are proposed to change with Medicare. And again, it may not affect just you. It might affect somebody that you love and care about. So we've been seeing in the news lately, and I covered this last week, the latest allegation is against Humana, and this is just an allegation. This is not saying that it's fraud. It's just saying that there is an overcharge to Medicare program from upbilling from people, that's these Medicare Advantage companies, saying that they provided more care or the people on their plans were sicker. And so the last one from last week was $197 million of taxpayer money that the government now wants back. But it's not at all in any way, shape, or form limited to Humana. This one was from just August of last year, talking about Cigna doing the same thing. And then right before that, the Department of Justice is suing Anthem over Medicare Advantage claims. It's not just one particular company. As a matter of fact, I could go on and on and on and show literally every top name that you've ever heard of in Medicare Advantage is alleged to have defrauded the government in the same exact way. Yes, I'm the only one talking about it, but you'll see in just a minute, this professor from New York apparently has been watching my videos. He's been seeing the Office of Inspector General investigation about this. He's been seeing what they do behind the scenes in their cost-cutting measures to save money and how the Medicare Advantage program saves money to the person who's paying for it. So this is a story. It's all over the news. If you dig deep into Medicare, which is what I do every day, watch everything coming out about Medicare. This is a story out of New York where they're talking about the report says retired city workers recoil at the coming cost saving Medicare shift. They want to save cost saving shift. Impending move to privately managed health plans could save taxpayers as much as $600 million annually. Isn't that great? It's going to save the taxpayer money. And for that, somebody's going to give. Somebody's got to pay. And it, unfortunately, are the people who can't go back and get another job. It's the people who have dedicated their entire lives with the transaction that's going to be, I give you my life in work and dedication, and you give me a secure retirement. That's the transition. That's the transaction that's supposed to go and take place. Now, this is the guy I want to focus in on. And you'll see him here in the video in the meeting, the private meeting, in just a minute. It's going to be an exclusive to this channel. I promise you that. But this is Len Rodberg, and he is a specialist. As a matter of fact, he studied, I'll show you all the details of it. But pay close attention to what Len has to say when you'll see somebody from the union here that's a huge advocate for this program. And then later, as she continues to talk, you'll find out she knows absolutely nothing about the program. Nothing. And she just knows the selling points. Like, it's going to be free. Everything's going to be great. We're going to save all this money. And then Len, who knows healthcare policy, says, wait a minute, it doesn't really work that way. They're going to put us on a Medicare Advantage plan. Do you even know how Medicare Advantage plans save money? And they get into a back and forth, but Len, being the gentleman that he is, does not directly engage her. He leaves her with enough question in her mind that she then says, well, I hope it works out. We'll have to get into the program and see if it works out. Have anybody heard that before? We'll have to just sign the bill and then see what's in it. That's literally what she said. And she says, I have my fingers crossed and my hopes high. Let me pull that up here. One sec. Here it is. So the actual story says, this particular case, nearly 250,000 retired New York City employees and their spouses could have their health insurance changed to Medicare Advantage plans by private insurers as soon as July 1. This is really quick. I mean, I don't care who you are. This is a super quick proposal. This news story just came out April 23rd, literally last week, and they're already talking about doing this July 1. You can't negotiate a healthcare contract in that kind of time limitation. It just can't be done. But they're just going to put them on a Medicare Advantage plan. Retirees who are pushing the delay. So, and you can see that in the emergency meeting that I'll show you in just a second. Retirees are pushing to delay the switch, say they're worried that a switch away from their current Medicare plan, original Medicare and a Medicare supplement, go figure, could lead to dramatically higher out-of-pocket costs and a smaller network of providers. It's a little frightening, said Jane, a retired city administrator. The word on the street is that these Advantage plans are fine. Let me just see if I can make that a little bit larger so you can see it, what Jane said. They're fine as long as you don't get sick, as long as you don't need the chemotherapy that my friend is having right now, or radiation treatment, or infusion treatment, or skilled nursing. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely fine. Unless you need don't get sick, don't need chemotherapy. In the senior world, that's pretty near impossible because that's where the majority of cancers present themselves. Don't need chemotherapy, don't need radiation treatment, don't need infusion treatment or skilled nursing. Other than that, it's completely fine. Nothing to see here, no big deal. The article continues. The proposed Switchover follows a June 2018 agreement between the Labor Committee, a group that represents retired New York City employees, and the City of Office of Labor Relations. Under that pact, both sides agree to reduce health care. So they agreed to this way back when, and 3 months before, they're going to negotiate this thing and just throw it out there, Medicare Advantage. Switching to Medicare Advantage is known as Part C, one of 8 possibilities proposed at the time. It's not now. It's only one of 2 companies, and they've decided it's Medicare Advantage all the way, baby. So they were promised in their entire working lives, they're going to take care of you. They were paying for their Medicare Part B premiums, very gracious for a retiree program, and then they're paying for their Medicare Supplement as well. So these seniors up to this point have had the freedom and flexibility, just like original Medicare and Supplement, to go anywhere in the country. You want to travel? Go for it, no problem. You want to go visit your kids or move to Florida? Absolutely no problem, because with original Medicare and a Medicare Supplement, you can do that. And you can go to absolutely any doctor that accepts original Medicare. So that's what they've been enjoying. That's the benefit. That was the deal that they signed up for when they agreed to give their entire lives to New York City. The article continues, under Medicare Advantage, the city projects it would save that sum, $600 million. It would save that sum by paying a fee to a private insurance company to manage a Medicare plan. Anytime you see the word Medicare plan, if you're reading in the Medicare and You guidebook, that's only talking about Medicare Advantage. When they say a Medicare plan, that's not Medicare. It's a plan that replaces what Medicare does. That's an important distinction. As you listen to the lady in the union advocate so strongly for this plan. She continually gets it wrong, and I apologize, I put graphics all over her video showing where she's wrong about that. She continues to think that this transition will leave them on original Medicare, with Part A paying the hospital, Part B paying the outpatient cost. The only difference in her mind, and this is what she's been elected in the leadership of the union to represent this to the group, to the entirety of the group, over 250,000 retirees. And she's saying, you're going to be on original Medicare still. They're going to take care of everything. Watch, you'll be blown away, especially those of you who pay attention to this channel and know that that's just simply not how Medicare Advantage works. Documents reviewed by New York Focus indicate a deal is being negotiated between the city and private insurance companies seeking to administer the coverage. The city currently reimburses retirees for the premiums for Medicare Part B, which covers outpatient care, and also pays for a supplemental Medigap plan. And that's what they love. And that's what they don't want to lose. And that's why they're upset, as you'll see in just a minute. You got to see their faces on this thing. You got to hear the angst in their voice on this thing. And you got to hear the one advocate pushing it so hard, who then it's revealed doesn't know anything about it and just has her fingers crossed. Premiums for Medicare Advantage are often lower than traditional Medicare, but how many people's ears perk up anytime you hear the word but involve trade-offs that could affect retirees' health and finances? What else is there in retirement besides your health and your finances to make sure you don't outlive your savings and your health, including a smaller network and higher out-of-pocket costs, said Naomi, a professor of public health in the city of New York, who is a Roosevelt Institute fellow. Might know what she's talking about. Quote, the city is going to save money by making seniors pay more for their health care. These are good people who worked an entire career under the promise that they would have good health care later on. Exactly. A spokesperson for the eminent Mayor Bill de Blasio told New York Focus after this story's publication that the deal will be a win for retirees and city government. And he's just done such a fantastic bang-up job managing the city of New York. Why would this be any different? Quote from Bill, our commitment to our retirees is unwavering commitment to them. And any new plan will increase both quality and benefits for retirees. She wrote in a statement. Wait a minute. Bill? Did Bill change his sex? Okay, maybe I missed something. I don't know if he's going by she now. Quote, it will also remain free for them while lowering costs for the city. It will be, there's that word again, free. Just think about it. Free benefits. Whatever could go wrong. Headline, fewer physicians. City retirees currently have access to a vast majority of all the physicians in the New York area. They do. Why? Because they're on original Medicare. I've got a lot of clients in New York. They're on Medicare supplements there. They love it. They can go anywhere. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Florida, California, doesn't matter. They have access to a big majority of physicians. That's right, because they're on original Medicare. A 2017 national study from the Kaiser Family Foundation found that, on average, Medicare Advantage plans offered access to just 40% of physicians in Queens. Nothing to see here, folks. Contract-related documents made public by the city suggest an increase of as much as $6,000 annually in potential out-of-pocket cost per retiree could be in store. Now, these are documents made available by the city, who very much wants this to go through. Just $6,000 more. What would that mean to you? Tell me in the chat, what would that mean to you to have an additional $6,000 worth of spending out of your pocket in place of a benefit that you were promised when you were working? Such costs are currently capped in their current program at no more than $1,000 per year, according to Len. Oh, here's Len. Here's my buddy, a retired professor and health policy expert who would be affected by the change. Wait till you see Len in the video I'm about to show you. It'll knock your socks off. He's very subtle. He's a gentleman. I'd almost say he's a Southern gentleman because they say they're the best. But he is a true, absolute gentleman, but he knows his stuff. He's a health policy expert and a professor. He's very subtle. The documents show annual out-of-pocket costs could reach upwards of $7,000 for an individual, approaching the maximum allowed under Medicare law. The out-of-pocket maximum for 2021 for Medicare Advantage across the country is set by CMS now. It used to be $6,700 was the max out-of-pocket that a plan could have, a plan being Medicare Advantage. Now for this year, it's $7,550, expected to go even higher next year if you're on Medicare Advantage. Now, that doesn't mean all Medicare Advantage plans have that max out-of-pocket. What it means is, by law, they can have nothing higher than that. But if they could, trust me, they would. Quote, basic city workers in the $30,000 to $50,000 salary range, their Social Security payments are smaller. Their pensions are smaller. They're going to get hit badly by this, Len said. Some budget watchdogs have highlighted retiree health savings as necessary to bring $2.2 billion in annual city benefits spending under control. New York City spending out of control? No. Quote, healthcare savings are important. They're essential to grow the city, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But this is the part that's important. Retiree advocates, other people are advocating for retirees too. Yes, go strong. They say the deal in the works is too high a price for members to pay. Somehow you're going to save $600. This is what Len says. Somehow you're going to save $600 million, and the 200,000 Medicare retiree recipients are going to somehow get no worse and maybe even get better service, said 𝗰𝗹𝗶𝗰𝗲, president of the Council of Municipal Retiree Organizations. See, these are many of them retired educators. They're no dummies. These are smart people. And they're saying, we're going to save $600 million and it's going to be better healthcare. How could that possibly be? Things that make you go, People don't know. The headline says the City of Office of Labor Relations received 8 proposals for Medicare Advantage plans, but now whittled that down to the 2 finalists, Aetna and Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield. Multiple retirees said they've been informed by the union. Cost-cutting employers have been gravitating toward Medicare Advantage, created under 1997 under the then Bill Clinton era. As of 2018, 39% of New York State's Medicare beneficiaries, privately, not in the union, were enrolled in Medicare Advantage plan. And that's true across the country now. 40% of seniors are in Medicare Advantage. Have you seen a commercial for it? Maybe that might be why. Almost $1 billion in commercial ad spend last year alone just for the niche of Medicare Advantage. When's the last time you saw a commercial for original Medicare? Employers have been gravitating toward Medicare Advantage plan. Right. New York City is not alone. Newman notes that Medicare Advantage plans rely on a list of in-network doctors. Quote, they're likely to be more limited in their provider network than traditional, coupled with a Medicare policy. Well, there's the understatement of the year, folks. They're likely to be more limited in their provider network than traditional Medicare. Some union officials have attempted to obtain information on their future access to services such as lab tests and rehab facilities, to little success. What, you mean it's not fully transparent? What's going to happen in those cases? Or according to the lady that I don't like very much, that you'll see in the video, and you'll see the one who's a strong advocate for this Medicare Advantage program. Nothing's different, she says. She says you can go to any lab you want to anywhere in the country. It's the same thing as being on original Medicare. You can go to any hospital, any doctor. All the doctors and hospitals across the country absolutely have to take this plan. I got news for you, ma'am. I've only been doing Medicare, been a licensed agent for 26 years. I know that if something says it's free and there's a $600 million cost savings, that's going to come out of your care. It's going to come out of restrictions. But sadly, you and the people who elected you to that position are going to find out when it's too late. This is a 5-year renewable deal that pretty much is all done. We've gotten specific answers to those questions, and because we're not privy to the negotiations, we don't know that they're not an issue. We don't know that they're not an issue. Fewer services? Achieving the $600 million in savings, I promise you, wait for the video. It's going to be here in just a minute. You're going to love this. It's going to blow your mind. Achieving the $600 million in savings could require pre-approval from insurers for certain procedures. Have we covered that before? Prior authorization? Have we covered that on this channel? You better believe we have. And the doctors say it takes a huge amount of their time and effort away. And prior authorization, guess how that's accomplished, folks? It's accomplished with a fax machine, which we discovered last week was invented in like 1872. A fax machine sending a document and request for records and waiting and waiting and waiting. Guess who suffers when you're waiting that long? You do. If you're in pain and you need surgery, you need admission to a hospital and you're waiting for prior authorization, it's a frustration for you, the doctor, the hospital, everybody, especially if they're waiting for you with that bed, because the Medicare Advantage plan, according to Medicare law, can make you wait for prior authorization. Original Medicare and Medicare Supplement, they don't. You go get the care you need. Doctor says you need it, you go get it. He admits you to the hospital, you're admitted. You're not waiting for prior authorization, which the study from CMS said can take up to 7 days and slows everybody down. See what the American Medical Association says about prior authorization. So that's one of the ways we're discovering now they're going to save money. Here's where it starts to break down. Quote, that would mean fewer services that would be covered by the plan. Newman said, you don't mean it. You don't mean it. More than half of Medicare Advantage participants are enrolled in plans that require prior authorization for ambulance rides, mental health services, inpatient hospital services, and other services, according to the Kaiser analysis. The CUNY retirees are mobilizing against the Medicare Advantage shift. You bet they are. Wait for that. Over 93% of attendees voted to request a moratorium, saying, stop, hold it. Y'all are moving too fast on this. You want this effective July 1st? You're telling us about it in March and April? Hold on. Saying that retirees had not been provided adequate or timely information about the details. None of the unions represented. Other officers responded for comment. Oh, they'll comment on my video I have for you in just a minute. They need to make savings, Fiscally dangerous to not do anything. Yeah. So I want you to see what Len and the others have to say about this. First, here's the, let's see, where is this? 12. This is a letter from the Office of Labor Relations talking about this program. And it says, the city and the union publicly entered into a healthcare agreement June 18, say we're going to save money, right? The agreement specified a number of items that would be assessed by the committee, including the adoption of a Medicare Advantage plan. As a result, you are aware that the city, in a transparent, they just said they can't get any details on the negotiations. Which is it, Bill? Or is it transparent? Does everybody know what the details would be, what the prior authorization requirements are, what the referral requirements would be? No, they don't know, and you'll find that out in just a minute with the leadership of the union that I'll show you. Transparent procurement process with strict oversight, released a request for proposal under a negotiated acquisition procurement process, and in the midst of picking out who it is. This is page 2 of their letter. The selected Medicare Advantage program will continue to be free for retirees. There's that word again, free. Oh my. What does that mean? It's going to be free. Everything's going to be great. The offerings have been carefully analyzed to ascertain that the program will not harm retirees, but will actually, here it is, provide equal or better coverage. That is the biggest scam of the industry. And I hear it from agents who make their fortunes off the back of Medicare Advantage saying, just here, sign here. No big deal. Just sign here. No premium needed. Not like those Medicare Supplement agents. Just sign here. No charge whatsoever. The joke is that they'll provide equal or better coverage. Equal or better. Then why is it the study that I put out a month ago saying why people are leaving Medicare Advantage? And Len saw my video on that. He saw the study. And he talks about that. When people get sick, they leave Medicare Advantage. Why? Because they can't find the care that they need without going through 500 hoops and 5 levels of appeal to get it. That's why the Office of Inspector General said 74% of the time that care is denied, it's overturned on appeal. But people don't know they can appeal. Why would you decline care in 74% of the time that you shouldn't have declined care? Oh, that's right. We got to save money. That's the detail. That's the part they're not going to tell you. That's the part that Joe Namath's poor butt doesn't tell you on the commercial, telling you can get this program, get the benefits you deserve. Really, Joe? I'd like to see you on a Medicare Advantage plan. You're not going to see it. I'm sorry. I get passionate about that. I hate people being screwed over when there's an alternative and there's money that's behind it. And that's literally what this is about. I highlighted this part. The programs permit retirees to utilize any provider. This is the city's interpretation of where their negotiations are with their Medicare Advantage contract. Not a done deal yet, but they're selling it here. The program permits retirees to utilize any provider nationally that accepts Medicare. It permits the retiree to do it, assuring that provider choices are as broad as they are under the current program. There will be no bureaucratic hurdles to selecting providers or obtaining care. Here's a little caveat to that from a licensed insurance agent that's trained and certified by AHIP to sell Medicare Advantage plans across the country. You know what the secret is? You know what the secret is on a PPO Medicare Advantage plan? Yes, you could go to any provider if the provider accepts the terms of your Medicare Advantage plan and if your provider accepts the fact that they're going to have to file one claim for you with that one New York City Medicare Advantage plan. So in order to get paid, that doctor has to agree to the fee schedule and agree to fill out their claim forms and send it to their claims processor and do all that for one patient. Now, imagine you're a cardiologist in Fort Myers, Florida, and you show up there to the cardiologist office saying, hey, I want to get care. My Medicare Advantage plan from the city of New York says everything's going to be covered. I can go to any doctor in the country. Here's all the forms from them. The doctor says, no, I'm not part of any Medicare Advantage plan. No, you don't understand. It's not just that. It's the fact that I can go to any doctor that I want to. They even said it in the plan. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not part of their network, and I'm not going to bill one little bitty Medicare Advantage plan to wait to get payment back for your silly self when I could just bill Medicare if you were a Medicare patient and get paid instantly. And your Medicare supplement through the process that's automatically paying the bills on the back end automatically pays the other part of that claim. This is just on the part of New York, and I know they're trying to sell it. I know they're trying to save money. Maybe their heart's in a good place. This is literally them not understanding how Medicare Advantage works. When you're talking about an out-of-network provider for Medicare Advantage, the way that works is, and it's in the Medicare and You guidebook. You don't believe me? Go in the Medicare and You guidebook, Medicare.gov, and you'll see it. If it's out of network on the PPO, the doctor has the right to accept it if they accept the fee schedule and they agree to bill that claim to the Medicare Advantage company. It's not any provider that's going to do that. I'm sorry to break it to you. And if you go through this program and you find out on your own, listen to the lady in the video that's coming up in less than a minute. Don't go anywhere. Where she says, oh, it's going to be super easy. You know, they're just going to file the claim on Medicare Part B for you. That's how they're going to save money. No, dear, you're not in Part B anymore. No, Dorothy's left the reservation. You go on Medicare Advantage, you're out of original Medicare. You ain't a part of it anymore. You then go under the terms and the services and all that stuff for a Medicare Advantage plan. And the deal is, here's the secret deal. Do they have to cover everything that original Medicare does? See where it says right here, actually provide equal or better coverage. Equal or better coverage. What does that mean, equal or better coverage? What that means is that category has to be satisfied. The category. So do you cover back surgeries? Yes, we do. Okay, that's equal care to Medicare. But what do you have to do to go through the hoops of that? Do you have to get a referral to go to another specialist? Do you have to get 2 opinions on that? Do you have to start with the cheapest test first? These are all case studies I'm telling you from people that I know. These are from clients that I know. You have to go through a cheap x-ray, then you have to go through a CT scan, then maybe an MRI, then you have to go through another physician. All these things to eliminate the fact that we can't treat you the cheapest way possible. That's the Advantage world. Did they cover the category? Yes, they did. Did they deny your care for a long enough period and require all kinds of hoops for you to jump through, bureaucratic hoops? Yes, they did. And that's why it's all about saving money. I'm going to let this video run. I encourage you, really, really, really watch the video. Watch how these people in New York are now being faced with losing their original Medicare, losing their Medicare supplement, giving up all the benefits that they were told they were entitled to, being pushed into a Medicare Advantage plan against their will. Listen to their tonality here. And there's only one advocate on here that's saying, this is going to be great, guys. It's going to be awesome. And then it finally is revealed. You'll see my graphics. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. She's just got her fingers crossed. So I'll be back after this.
It became clear that the MLC was seriously considering proposals for Medicare Advantage and maybe transferring retirees from traditional Medicare with city secondary insurance to Medicare Advantage. Once we understood this, we knew that we had to set up this meeting. And might I note that Donna and Barbara, I think a week ago, talked at great length and answered questions at our retiree executive committee meeting. I mean, unfortunately for Donna, or maybe fortunately for Donna, she's going to have to answer those questions again, because most of you have not heard Donna yet respond to those questions. So let me just read the statement of urgent concern. New York City Administrative Code enshrines the right of health insurance for municipal employees. That right has been compromised by several recent agreements, 2014 and 2018, between the City of New York and the Municipal Labor Committee, which negotiates our healthcare benefits. In the latest iteration of those negotiations, New York City has called for more savings. The savings are for the city, not municipal workers and retirees. The city has put out a request for proposals that would transfer 250,000 municipal retirees from traditional Medicare with secondary insurance from the city to a Medicare Advantage plan. There is a contradiction here. Our union is a proponent of healthcare as a public good, of single payer. Moving to Medicare Advantage, which is privatized Medicare, is a retreat from Medicare to privatized healthcare and more problematic healthcare coverage. The negotiations of the city have not been transparent for New York City's 250,000 municipal retirees. Certain paths, for example, the city saving money by self-insuring, have not been explored. There are lots of questions about what the transition would look like, about what the new plan recovers, about what happens when the Medicare Advantage contract between the city and vendor expires, and a whole host of other issues. For these reasons, we call on the PSC to push for a moratorium in negotiations between the city and the MLC, for a pause that allows for transparency, for consideration of other options, and for the voices of municipal retirees to be heard. And this was passed unanimously by our retiree EC.
The data, I think, that we need to consider. So this is an overview of what I'm going to tell you. First, the city is proposing to replace the current Medicare-based retirement benefit with a private Medicare Advantage plan. I want to add here a couple of numbers, which I thought would be in the chapter statement that Bill read, but were not. The city has put in its documentation for this that it currently spends $600 million on retiree health benefits, and the MLC, the unions, agreed some 3 years ago that over this year, during this coming year, the city would save $600 million. So those are important numbers that we better keep in mind. Okay. My second point will be that private insurers have greater costs than public insurers and the government. So they take a variety of actions affecting members' access to care to reduce their expenses. Medicare Advantage can work for members as long as they don't need very much medical care. For members who need substantial amounts of care, traditional public Medicare with supplemental coverage, such as we now have, provides more choice, fewer hassles, and lower cost. So what's traditional Medicare? It's hospital and doctor insurance, physician insurance, two parts, A and B. Medicare Advantage is actually part C of the the legislation that creates the Medicare program. Part B has a premium. If you join it, you pay a monthly premium. There are deductibles, and it covers only 80% of the cost of coverage. The patient pays the remaining 20%. This is now bare traditional Medicare. The hospital, in the case of hospital coverage, also there's a deductible and co-pays, and there are no limits on out-of-pocket costs. So the unions have negotiated with the city, and so that currently the city pays the Part B premium and most deductibles and co-pays. There are still some out-of-pocket costs that we who are in that program can possibly pay. The maximum is $1,053 each year. So what's a Medicare Advantage plan? It's private insurance. The city proposes a 5-year contract with a private insurer to provide a Medicare Advantage plan to its retirees. CMS is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It runs the Medicare program, and it pays the private insurance companies. That's their sole revenue under normal circumstances. In a Medicare Advantage program, usually there's a very small premium. The same services are covered as Medicare, but the Congress has allowed private insurers to cover things that and pay for it that traditional public Medicare is not allowed to cover, like gym memberships, dental, eye, and hearing benefits. The conditions of the coverage and the cost of service is determined by the insurer, but the legislation, the Medicare Advantage legislation, provides that the maximum out-of-pocket cost to a member who joins one of these plans is $7,550. So here's the crux of the issue. Private insurance costs more than public insurance to run the system. The Medicare program has a little less than 2% administrative costs. Basically, it pays companies to process bills. Insurance companies also have bill processing claims, but they have charges, but they have others. In order to hold down usage, they require that the doctor or hospital get prior approval before they will agree to pay for a procedure. As before a procedure is done, the insurance company has to approve it, and that requires that they have a staff who responds to basically physician calls asking for approval to perform a procedure. They have marketing costs because they want to sell themselves and they have competitors. Medicare does not advertise, but the private insurers do. They pay very high salaries, not only to their CEOs, but to other staff. And if they're profit making, as Aetna is, for instance, they make a profit, typically 5% on their of the total revenue that they get. So how do they make money given that their costs are higher? Well, first of all, they get more from Medicare than it would cost if Medicare alone were providing the coverage. Originally, it was 14%. Now it ranges from 3 to 10%. So that's part of it. The payments they get are risk-based. I'll come back to that. That is, they depend on how sick their members are, how sick their patients are. And it's a per person per month payment that they get. All right, second, they make money by charging copays for some of the services that the members use. That has two effects. It reduces their cost for the service because it's a cost share. The patient shares the cost. but also it reduces use because having a copay makes people think twice before going to see a doctor or going to the emergency room because they know it will cost them money. 3, they pay less to doctors and they pay more slowly. It takes months, the doctors complain, to get their payments back. Clearly, they're benefiting from the float in terms of their revenue comes in before their payments go out. But the payments are lower, and so physicians, not all physicians agree to join their networks, and the result is that a patient faces a limited choice of physician and of hospital. Sloan Kettering, for instance, won't join any Medicare Advantage program because it doesn't pay enough. This is just as data on this. This is a recent study looking back at millions of claims, and it found, in fact, that Medicare Advantage plans tend to pay physicians less than traditional Medicare. Now, this may not apply to ours, but in general, Medicare Advantage plans try their best to attract healthy patients, and they do this in a variety of ways by offering gym memberships. If you're in a wheelchair, you're unlikely to want a gym membership. They hold advertising breakfasts at early hours, so people who are able to get up, get out, and get to a hotel for it, and so on. The point about that is what's called the 80-20 rule. 80% of the cost of the spending on medical care in any one year is spent on 20% of the people. So insurance companies want to avoid that 20%. They want all those people who use very little medical care, and so it won't cost them much. That's called cherry picking in the slang. But the other side of it is when they get a patient that's sick or a patient gets sick, they make it difficult for them. The copays are difficult. Getting approval for the procedures is difficult. Getting approval for the medications is difficult. And so the experience of both the studies, both private and government studies, show that the sick leave preferentially compared to the general population. That's in the jargon. That's lemon dropping. They almost all require private approval for most procedures and most actions, most spending. Medicare requires almost none, only for some particular expensive medications. And this is from the Kaiser Foundation, Kaiser Family Fund, that 4 and 5 Medicare Advantage enrollees are in plans that require prior authorization. That means the doctor or doctor's staff calls the insurance company to get approval. Finally, there's just plain fraud. There's repeated studies demonstrating and audits done by CMS showing that the insurance companies claim that their patients, their members, are sicker than they actually are, which increases their payments because they're risk-based. And the last one said $9 billion in any one year was fraudulent. So finally, I'll repeat with one addition here. Medicare Advantage plans have greater overhead expenses and take a variety of actions affecting members' access to care to reduce their expenses. Medicare Advantage can work for members as long as they don't need much medical care. But for members who need substantial amounts of care, traditional public Medicare with supplemental coverage provides more choice, fewer hassles, and lower costs. If a different type of Medicare Advantage plan is proposed, we need to ask, since their expenses are greater than Medicare's, how will they balance the books and make money? Remember, there's no free lunch.
As it stands now, if somebody opts out of Medicare Advantage or decides not to choose Medicare Advantage, and they want Medigap insurance, they would have to pay for both themselves and their spouse, assuming they have a spouse.
It hasn't been decided, but my best guess is that my feeling is I don't think the city will pick up the balance, but nothing is decided yet.
All right, and you partially addressed this already, or maybe fully. Can one use any doctor who accepts Medicare on the Medicare Advantage plan? What about hospital access? And then I just quoted something from one example from somebody who sends in a question. For example, what if a hospital has a policy similar to Johns Hopkins, which states on its website, quote, please be advised that Johns Hopkins Medicine hospitals and most Johns Hopkins University physicians participate with Medicare, but we are not contracted with most Medicare Advantage plans.
According to at least 3 of the bidders, they have relationships with most of these hospitals. And although they will put that on the website, they will accept the coverage, and they will work with the hospital to make sure that you're covered. And I think there's only, Johns Hopkins is one of them. There may be another one on there that we were made aware of, but those were all of them said that they have working relationships with these hospitals and that they haven't had any problems getting coverage.
What is our access under Medicare Advantage to lab services, to radiology services, to emergency rooms, to physical therapy? And I guess we could go on and on with this list, but
It's the same, it's Medicare. Medicare is primary. Medicare A and B is primary. So the same coverage the same access you have under your Medicare now is the same access you should have under the Medicare Advantage plan.
what about copays, deductibles? Does one need referrals?
There's no referrals. The copays and deductibles are the same as well, there's a slight increase, I think, in the copays that was supposed to be in July 1st that was going into effect. But the copays and the deductibles that you currently have in your senior care is what you will have, with the exception of that small copay increase that was supposed to go in effect on July 1st. And I think it was $15 the copay went up to. But other than that, it's all supposed to be the same.
And then what are our Medicare Advantage costs for the above compared to our present traditional Medicare combined with New York City senior care?
Again, should be mirroring the coverage you have now. That's what we have in the contract. That's what the bidders have agreed to.
And what about out-of-state coverage for out-of-state residents, for New Yorkers traveling out of state?
If they have the doctor out of state accepts Medicare, again, Medicare is primary. Medicare is the CMS. Medicare is the primary carrier. So whoever accepts them, then they will accept you, just as now, if you were to go out of state and something happened and you went to a Medicare provider, they would take your Medicare. This should be the same.
Am I right in understanding that Medicare Part A and Part B, your primary for that will be, as it is now, Medicare?
Yes.
You don't go through Medicare Advantage. Okay.
Well,
and then
the Medicare Advantage plan will be processing the claims.
Okay.
But they still have to follow Medicare A and B's rules. They will not be doing, they cannot ask for referrals. They cannot put into place other restrictions that are not in traditional Medicare. They cannot negotiate with the participating provider, because Medicare is saying that all of the participating providers must accept it. So Medicare can't say, CMS can't say that you have to take this and at a lesser rate than we would pay you.
Right.
They have to do it at the traditional rate.
Right. Okay. And then the Medicare Advantage is covering what senior care used to cover, which is the 20% not covered by Medicare.
Yes, and it's also picking up the hospital rider that people paid extra for.
But prescription drug coverage through the welfare fund for our retirees will remain unchanged. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right, that's an important thing. Another concern is about hospitals, because you mentioned this question of all hospitals taking this plan, and the MLC has done some work, particularly with Sloan Kettering and Hospital for Special Surgery. So what guarantees are there that Sloan Kettering and HSS will still be available for our folks? And what was the other? Oh, and traveling out of state, out of the country was another concern that has come up. Out of state you addressed, but out of the country is another one. So I guess the three that maybe I'm seeing pop up would be, for me, the big question is what happens when this contract and the sweetness of the first deal is over, and then out of country, and then the HSS and Sloan Kettering.
The MLC is working with them, with the city, to get something contractually, because as you said, they're paying X amount of dollars now. What happens in 5 years and 10 years when they've been riding this wave, and I don't know what happens. It goes up, so then would that be lost? So they're working to make sure that that is something that they would have in writing, so that it's already there how much the city was paying, so that it's not forgotten. I haven't heard any final wording on it, but there was agreement from the city that there would be something that they would be able to do, but what that something is, I don't know yet. So actually that might be a good thing to bring up
Yeah.
the steering committee reading.
And the other was Sloan Kettering and HSS.
I believe that both of them do accept Medicare, and if they accept Medicare, then they are in the program. If not, they will work with them to make sure that they will accept the members.
Okay.
There is the Medicare Advantage plan doesn't have anybody out of the network. So as long as they accept Medicare, you'll be able to go to those hospitals, and they'll work with them to get the other Medicare Advantage piece covered.
Thank you. Because some of our members are now, like the Aetna is there. They have Medicare, Aetna, Medicare, or whatever it's called. And I know I've heard from them that they don't have access to HSS. I don't know if they have Sloan Kettering, but we would want to make sure that the access is the full Medicare access, not a restricted access.
They did ask that, and if anybody is looking at going to the hospital within the next, 6 months or after October, it would be, if you can just let me know what hospital. I'd just be curious to find out if I can do some double checking. I'd like to use somebody as an example, to run it by. I mean, that would be the best thing for me to say, I have somebody, and what would happen, when they need to go to the hospital. Those are the things that I'm looking at. I'm trying to look at it from members' view and what you need to do for you, for your doctors, for your hospitals, and how's the best way to handle it. Those are the things that I'm very concerned with right now.
The city will switch the billing or the approval to Medicare Advantage to handle the payments. That could be a whole lot slower than what we have now. And then there could be people turned away that haven't been turned away before. And that's coupled with another question about billing, which is the fact that this sounds really good. A lot of people said, yeah, it sounds okay. But, when I go to my doctor, they're not going to be clued into this, and they're not going to know. And so it's going to go to Medicare Advantage, and I'll get knocked off.
This is, again, what we're trying to pay attention. Like I said, we're kind of caught in I'm kind of caught in a nowhere land, because it hasn't been decided on yet. But we're trying to get the critical questions answered if it does get decided on. So if they go forward with it, those are the questions that we need to have answered, exactly how this is going to work. We need to make sure that all of your doctors and providers know who to bill. So that is something that we're working on now, because you would be getting different cards. So
that was another question, yeah.
Yes. So that is something that's, actually on the top of our list, and that should be all part of the communications that we're hoping to have out to you, so that you will know exactly what needs to get done.
Even though it claims that if a doctor takes Medicare, he'll take the Medicare Advantage, what they're saying is experientially is that that's not their experience.
Yeah.
In other words, if the billing is going to now have to go to a medical advantage plan as opposed to traditional Medicare, that the docs resist. So who's going to end up doing the education of the docs on this? That's or you know, that they may lose, you know, they may lose the physicians they want to use.
That's what the stars are in a CMS plan. That's why it's important to get a four-star plan.
Okay, and to reiterate another thing that has been said in the beginning, Donna, that you said and others, you can't, if this happens, you can't keep your regular Medicare. You can't have both.
Yes and no, because this is your regular Medicare.
Right.
It's just that it's going to go through the Medicare Advantage provider, but it should look, well, it won't look, because you'll be getting an EO, instead of getting an EOB from Medicare Part A and an EOB from Medicare Part B, you'll be getting one EOB that says Medicare A or B paid this much, and the Medicare Advantage plan, which would have been your senior care, pays this much. So you'll get one EOB at the end of the month, which actually should make it a little bit easier.
Well, but we get a different card, and people are worried about that, because when they get to a doctor or a hospital and present it, and they say, no, we don't take Advantage.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to get addressed now, because I want to know exactly what happens when you go to the hospital and or you're anticipating being admitted to the hospital. You call, they tell you this. I want to know point by point, what do you do? Who do you call? They're supposed to call the hospital administrator. The hospital administrator, then the Medicare Advantage plan should call you back and tell you you're good, you're fine. Those are exactly the things I want to get answered.
Yes, and of course, the anxiety of needing care right now.
Absolutely.
Yes, that can happen.
Another letter in here where.
And they're telling us that it can't and it won't, but just like everyone else, until I see it not happening, I also am concerned. I need to see something happen so that I feel confident. The only thing that is making me have some sense of comfort in this is that we have the penalties in the plan, and all of the bidders said that they can do this and that they are doing it. So I am skeptical like you are, because I haven't seen it work for myself yet, but I do have a sense of comfort in that it's not just one plan telling me they can do it, it's three of them. So I will feel a little bit better when somebody just walks me through how exactly that happens. Because that is something that I want to be sure doesn't happen.
Eileen, over to you with a.
Well, it seems to me partly what's coming up also is concerns about if it's not working well, where do they complain and what is their redress? And I think the idea that it might be a process like complaining to CMS is not useful, I think, in the short run.
You wouldn't go to CMS. You will go to the Medicare Advantage. There will be a certain department, a certain number that we will get that will just handle city retirees and this plan.
Okay.
And that's where you should get your answer. And again, we'll be holding them accountable, because then, and this has already been brought up, we know our members are going to call us if they're not getting the answers that they need. And then if we get involved, then we will be calling, and we will not, that will be, there'll be a penalty involved.
You said that Medicare requires that or CMS requires that if a physician participates in Medicare, they have to participate in Medicare Advantage. That's clearly not true.
I'm not saying, no, you're misunderstanding, Len. So this is where the HMO piece of it and a PPO, this is more of a PPO plan, are different. I'm saying this plan, I don't know about other Medicare Advantage plans, and there has to be at least God knows how many out there, hundreds of them. In October, all you guys get inundated with mailings on it. This plan, I can't speak for the other plans. This plan says if you are a participating provider in Medicare, you will be covered under this plan.
Well, what do you think? I think it's pretty sad, actually. Sad state of affairs, really. But if they don't do anything else, then this is what they're going to get. Everybody in New York. We are licensed in New York, if anyone's asking. And we have a unique strategy that's unique to New York because their law there is just a little bit different than other states. On a Medicare supplement plan, they have a year-round open enrollment. So if you are affected by this, if you know someone who is impacted by this situation, if they do get off of the plan, and it's only Medicare Advantage if they're leaving them with the option, if that does happen, what you can do is get off of the Medicare Advantage plan back onto original Medicare, and we can help you get a Medicare supplement. There's a great variation in the pricing depending on what zip code you're in, but you can start and stop and change into a Medicare supplement in New York at any time. The only rule is that it has to start on the first of the month of the next month. So we have a strategy unique to New York, and if you are impacted by this or you know someone who is, please have them reach out to us. We'd be glad and honored to help them. But this is something that's not in the mainstream news. The mainstream news seems to go along with the narrative that Medicare Advantage is great, and that's really what the government wants. They want people into original Medicare to go into Medicare Advantage so that the Medicare system can save money. I get that. But what are they giving up by doing so? What are you giving up by giving up your original Medicare? One thing is, outside the state of New York, if you're on original Medicare and a Medicare supplement, and you choose to give up your Medicare supplement to go on a Medicare Advantage plan, you may never get that supplement back. Why is that? Because in the other states, you have to qualify with health questions to get back onto a Medicare supplement. And there is a study that I showed recently, looking at our past videos about a month ago, why people are leaving Medicare Advantage plans. It's just like Len, the professor there said. The people leave Medicare Advantage when they do need a lot of care and they can't find the providers or the things covered in the hospital. The only problem is by then it's usually too late. Your option to get a Medicare supplement plan in most every other state is therefore way, way, way limited. You may not get one at all if you're in bad health and it's too little, too late to get onto a Medicare supplement. But in New York, hey, you can get onto a Medicare supplement and change it anytime. I encourage you to do that, and we can help you with that. If you're paying a fortune for a Medicare supplement and you're in New York or any other state, we should look at that for you, because that's what we do. We help people with that all the time. From coast to coast, we can help you with your Medicare insurance. And if Medicare Advantage is best for you, we're going to try to find the one that lines up the best for you with your doctors, your hospitals, your drugs, the travel arrangements that you need in order to be able to be flexible and travel across the country. That's one of the things we look at based on experience, based on horror stories from people who are just signed up with a local HMO, and yet they have two houses and they go back and forth, or they go south for the winter and north for this. A Medicare HMO is not the right deal for that person. And yet you'd be surprised how many people are just slapped into a Medicare HMO saying, it's free, and you're going to get $25 at the local pharmacy. Over-the-counter benefits, it's free, free, free. It's just like the Oprah show. You get free benefits, and you get free benefits. And nobody takes the time for the questions as to, what do I give up? If you want some in-depth background on this, looking at the Office of Inspector General, the people who are not financially incentivized by this industry, look at the website called allaboutmedicareadvantage.com. And there you'll see some stuff. Allaboutmedicareadvantage.com. Thank you, Debbie. That's very sweet of you. Allaboutmedicareadvantage.com. LP says, I'm a retired RN, and I was friends with a lot of doctors, and they hate prior authorization. I bet they do. They prevent them from running certain tests they need to determine what's wrong with a person. That could be a problem. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. I think this is what the city is planning for and hoping. They're hoping the employees will drop their city coverage and pay for their own Medigap. You know what? You might have a point there. Well, thanks for joining me today, everybody. When there's news about Medicare, this is a place I guarantee you that you're going to see it first. And I'll be bringing it to you in real time. And I'm sure this is going to make some people mad. It always does when I bring the truth to light on Medicare. I make no apologies for the fact that I help people with Medicare. It's just kind of what we do. We help with Medicare insurance, but I may be shooting myself in the foot by telling the truth that other people are not willing to tell. How do insurance agents like me and agencies get paid? We get paid when we help somebody with a plan. Can we help everybody? No. We try to, of course, but I want to do it from a position of truth, telling you both sides of the story, telling you those things that may be not so easy to hear, but it's true. And that's what I've always done. I did it from the day I got sworn in as a police officer at the age of 19 until I left that in 2008, started doing insurance full time. I was doing part-time to support our family before that, from all the way to 1994. Gosh, that dates me a little bit. This is our crew right here that helps us administer helping seniors across the country. You will talk to one of these friendly people if you call into my office. We can do life insurance, we can do Medicare Supplement and Medicare Advantage, Part D drug plans, do long-term care, pretty much anything that has to do with retirement, we can help you with that. But we're going to do it from a position of first listening to you and seeing what you need, and then prescribing a recommendation based on experience and other people's past experiences. So thanks for watching today, y'all. God bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are.